Hey guys, what's going on? It is Brother80 here, and sorry about that, today, this is another deck video on Tapped Out Deck Builder, another deck that I have not bought, but I have made, but I have a slight disclaimer to say. The deck idea is from the YouTuber Tolarian Community College, and most cards in it, with slight adjustments, and the sideboard was me making, but I did get recommendations off of his 1-year-old modern Infect deck video. Mostly because the deck back then was like $50, but now, as you can see here, this edited version with sideboard's $130. Without sideboard, it's like $125. And that's mostly from the Inkmoth Nexus and the Petalhaven, which are lands there. But just to show you how awkwardly the deck runs, I'm going to go to converted cost, not including sideboard. There is nothing over a 2-drop, which, as you can see here, there's the lands. These are full art Battle for Zendikar lands, which I'm not sure why they have, because I don't think they're in the, there's no way you can get them now, so I'm not sure how they'd have them, because the dual deck doesn't have them, which kind of annoyed me. But you can see here, everything here is 1-drops, everything here is 2-drops. There's a lot of 1-drops, but only one 1-drop creature. These are all 1-drop buffs. So I'm going to go to type and just cover that. So, starting off with our mana base, obviously we have 17 forests, Battle for Zendikar forests, which are 43 cents, which is ridiculous for lands. Well, for basic lands at least. Then we have Inkmoth Nexus, this is $60 of the deck basically here. It's a land that is not legendary, but it's a rare land from Scars of Mirrodin, I believe. And it has tapped to add a mana to mana pool, and 1 mana becomes a 1/1 Blink Moth artifact creature with flying and Infect until end of turn, and it's still a land. And then there's Pendelhaven, which is a legendary land, and I have 2 of it in here because it increases your odds of drawing it, and you can combo it where you play 1, tap it for mana, and then you can play the second one on your, if you don't play a land this turn, you can activate its second ability and its first ability if you have 2 of the land, and you can get rid of it, which is good. It's a nice ability to use. Typically, it's nice because, unlike most lands, it produces green, not colorless, most lands that have a main ability, and its ability is really good in comboing with, say, Glistener Elf, before you buff it at all, and give it +1/+2. So that is the main mana base, which actually makes up most of the cost of the deck. Right here, that's like $70 there, off of the Inkmoth Nexuses, and that's 20 from the Pendelhavens. So if you really want to go budget, just go all forests, with maybe some 1 Inkmoth Nexus and some fetch lands, not fetch lands. Fetch lands would be cheaper than Inkmoth Nexus. Modern fetch lands. I don't mean modern set fetch lands, I mean current fetch lands in standard, for the most part. But just go all forests and then run some Evolving Wilds and maybe a single Inkmoth Nexus and a single Petalhaven. But for instance, we have Apostle's Blessing, which, despite being a white card, is more commonly played in green, to my knowledge. And it's one of the only cards in Infect that's almost always played in Infect, because you'll see it is a white card, but it has that Scars of Mirrodin, or entire Mirrodin block ability, where you can pay 2 life instead of paying that mana symbol there, which would be white mana. So you can pay the 2 life for it and pay the colorless, and target artifact creature gains protection from artifacts or from the color of your choice until end of turn, which is great for making them unblockable. Giant Growth is basically a nerfed sort of Titanic Growth. It's 1 less mana, and it gives them 1 less 1/1 counter until end of turn. It's 3/3 instead of 4/4 for 1 mana for an instant. Groundswell, 1 mana, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and a landfall, it gets +4/+4 instead. This was actually in Zendikar versus Eldrazi, which is the version that I have here. You can see the symbol. Well, you can't, I can't hover over it, but you can see the symbol on the card. Mutagenic Growth. I have Modern Masters versions where I can find them. which again, you can do the 1 mana or 2 life. Typically, I always do 2 life on these if you're close to the win. Its target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Because 1 mana for +2/+2 can be spent on, say, your giant growth instead of your mid-genic growth. So I just always play the 2. Titanic growth, again, this is the Origins version, trying to find the most recent version that I could find. It's 2 mana, 1 green, and a colorless for a target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. Rancor is the only enchantment in the deck, and there's a playset of it. It's enchant creature, 1 mana. Enchanted creature gets +2/+0 and has trample, which for an infect deck is awesome. And when it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return it to its owner's hand. Blight Mamba is 2 mana for a 1/1 with Infect, and 2 mana regenerate it. For those of you that don't know what Infect is, it deals damage in Infect counters or poison counters, and not in regular combat damage. And if the player gets 10 poison counters, they lose the game. And it also deals damage in form of -1/-1 counters to creatures. Glistener Elf, which is basically the best Infect card out there. 1 mana for a 1/1 Infect, and no other abilities, but it's 1 mana for 1 Infect. You can win on turn 2 easy with it. You get out the Glistener Elf, and then you get, say, 2 mutagenic growths and a giant growth or 2. You can play the 2 with the 2 mana you have out. Or it'd be even better if you got Groundswell. You can get the 2 Groundswells, the 2 mutagen growths, and you can win on turn 2. And Ichor Clawmere, 2 mana for a 1/1 Infect. Whenever it becomes blocked, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So same base power and toughness for mana cost. They both have equally good abilities, although I'd say the Regenerate is a bit more helpful than the +2/+2. But if you can give it trample, that's very helpful. I already went over the mana base, and this deck has very few actual cards in it. The deck list is pretty small. The sideboard is entirely made by me. I didn't get any of this from Tolarian Community College or anything. 1 Apostle's Blessing, so if you want to have a playset, you can. 3 Bellowing Tangleworm. It's 3 colorless, 2 green for a 4/4 Intimidate. Other green creatures you control have Intimidate, which is all your infected creatures except for Ichor Clawmere and Plague Mirror. And Intimidate means it can't be blocked by artifact, except by artifact creatures and or creatures that share a color with it. Meaning if they don't have green creatures or artifact creatures, or if you have artifact creatures, it can only be blocked by artifact creatures because they're colorless. Mycosmith Fiend. Basically, what I went for in the sideboard is a couple Infect cards, but mostly cards if you want cards without Infect that buff from Infect. So it's 2 colors and a green for a 2/2, gets +1/+1 for each poison counter all your opponents have. Phyrexian Hydra is one of the biggest Infect creatures out there. 5 mana for a 7/7 Infect. If it would be dealt damage, prevent that damage, and put a -1/-1 counter on it for each damage prevented this way. Phyrexian Swarmlord is 4 colorless and 2 green, the highest mana costing card in the deck, for a 4/4 Infect. At the beginning of Rep, you put a 1/1 green insect creature token with Infect onto the battlefield for each poison counter your opponents have. Plague Mirror is just a nice card for mana ramp. You can easily replace this card with Elvish Mystic and get the basic same effect for 1 less mana, but it does have Infect, which is useful. So you can put a playset of these if you want. I only have 2. And also, if you really, really want to, and you put a playset of these, you can probably put in Blightsteel Colossus, which is the biggest Infect creature of all time. I believe it's an 11/11 Infect. And 1 Vines of Vastwood, which I already covered, 1 mana. Target creature can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control this turn. If it was kicked, that creature gets +4/+4 until the turn, and it's a kicker of 1. So, it's basically Titanic Growth, but with a better ability on it. So honestly, it's probably superior to Titanic Growth. You can really take out a Titanic Growth, put that in easy. That's a very simple thing to do. So if you look at here, there is a tiny bit of white from the 3 Apostles' Blessings, and the rest of the deck's all green. There's 22 lands, 4 enchantments, 12 creatures, and 22 instants. So it rounds up to the 60 cards. It's $133.89. CMCs is 1 and 2, and obviously 0, 22 for 0. And it's MTG Online, it is $93. And it's modern legal, 60 cards, everything like that. So, anyway guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.